destination for Southern hip hop and R&B, Southside on Dash Radio, and you're locked into the day party with yours truly, Kierra M, on this good old transformational Tuesday. Now, before the break, be sure and I talked about me having a special guest in the building. Témi is here. How are you?
Thank you for having me. Thank you. I'm good.
Oh, you got the sexy voice on, y'all. You're like, thank you guys. Thank you so much for having me. We're gonna have a good time. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, so we all know you, or at least I became familiar with you in Témi's videos. The Nigerian butterscotch and Mr. Chocolate.
Yeah.
All right, so you have to, you gotta check in with the ladies, Mr. Chocolate. What you gonna say to them?
Ladies, how are you doing? Yeah. How are you doing, ladies? It's Chocolate. The other half of the butterscotch, the friend of him, but it is definitely Chocolate in the building.
I live for those videos. Y'all have a good time. Y'all have a really, really good time in there. So how long have you and him been friends? Like, how do you guys know each other?
Well, I was when I was with my other label, with my previous label, Disturbing the Peace. With my group, we actually ended up connecting through. He just kind of came to our house working with a friend of ours, Marquise. And he came to our house and he just was working on records. And we were grinding it out. Like when he first started singing Before Power and everything like that. So we'd be at the house just up to like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning working on records. And we just kind of connected and worked that way. And then we stayed in touch.
Absolutely. That's a good friend to have, Well, let's talk about you and everything that you have going on, though. So, you grew up in Toronto, but you were born in Nigeria. So talk about when your love for music actually started.
It was like around probably age 5. When
5, that's young.
Yeah, it was crazy. It's crazy. When me and pretty much my brothers kind of put me on R&B, soul music, because they used to listen to Babyface all the time. Yeah, and it's because they wanted to get the girls and stuff like that. So I was like, how do I get the girls? You know what I'm saying? So now all I would do is basically kind of I followed in their footsteps. But I heard Babyface, Never Telling Secrets, I think the song was called. And I realized at the end of the song I could do that thing. He says all that.
There we go. Oh my God, yes.
So at the end of Babyface, at the end of that song, on the bridge, he does Forever. And I'm like, wow, I can actually do that. And maybe I can sing. So that's kind of where my love for it kind of started.
Now, I have some Nigerian friends, right? And so they're in the entertainment industry. And one thing that I know that is true, especially for one of my friends, is that her parents didn't necessarily support.
Of course.
They didn't necessarily. No. So it was like, you're gonna be a nurse, a lawyer, a doctor. Yes.
What is this music stuff?
Yes. That's exactly how, especially her dad, who was a pastor, also reacted. So, did you have the support of your family when you decided that you wanted to, at least your parents, because you talked about your brothers, when you decided that this was the journey you wanted to take? Yeah, I see.
No, it's honestly it was really difficult because to get them to understand, because they came from Nigeria, and it was like I just landed here. I've landed on Canada, sorry, and for them it was just like, man, like we brought you here for all these opportunities, and you want to sing, so it was tough for them to kind of get with, but the further along they just kind of gave up fighting. And realized it was my dream. And
it's your purpose. Yeah. And so you talked a little bit about being signed to Ludacris and DTP and your whole group. So tell us about that, because some people may know you from the group Untitled, right? And so talk about that situation and what led you to become a solo artist.
Well, that situation was great. I learned a lot from that situation. Being in a group, learning from having like a unit and working with people, like especially in the group. And I grew up with those guys, so it was great to have people to kind of share the experience with. Them being signed to Chris, you learn a lot from that too, because he's like a mogul in the game, and it's like you just learn how to move and shake in the industry. And he taught me just like the hard work. Learning from Shaka, Jeff, and Chris, just hard work and what it takes to really, really get there. And I don't think we really got there until near the end of the situation. So I really take that in that situation. But after a while, I think it was time for me to kind of do my own thing, and I felt like after everybody kind of chose their directions, and me, I felt like I more so wanted to pursue just my solo craft, and the guys are doing great, but I'm just trying to do me.
And so, do you still have that relationship with him though?
Chris. I seen Shaka the other day. Chris, I haven't seen. I'm sure he was in Toronto the other day. But I seen Shaka at Cuckoo Room the other day. Great energy, man. Great dude. So
absolutely. Always. So let's talk about your new situation. You're signed in Canada. So talk about being signed.
Yeah, I'm working with a company called Arrival Music. Actually, a good friend of mine, Charlie. He called me up. It's funny. I was in Atlanta. He's like, I'm working on something. I'm like, okay, you working on something? And all of a sudden, I came to Toronto. He's like, hey, I need you to perform April 8th. I'm like, okay, where you want me to perform at, dude? So it's just come perform, sing this song. I'm like, okay, cool. I came, sang the song. Next thing you know, after the performance is finished, everybody's congratulating me. I'm like, what is everybody congratulating me for, Charlie? He's like, well, yeah, I just signed you, though.
That's a way to find out you've been signed.
Like, what? So we worked out the logistics after that to make sure it made sense. But and it made sense. So
let's talk about your personal musical style. So you're mixing some genres out here.
Yeah.
So talk about that.
I actually have a new project called Alternative Soul, and the reason Alternative
But it hasn't been released yet.
Okay. No, it'll be ready end of October. And the reason it's called Alternative Soul is because I found like my voice will always have that soul essence. I always came from that soul essence, but musically, I feel like my story can be told in many different ways.
Wow.
Right? It can be told via pop. It can be told via country. Even. Like I had some country songs on there. It's kind of weird, but even some alternative, some rock songs. And I grew up on all of that stuff. Especially living in Canada, we have a really multicultural society. So it's just you get exposed to everything. So with that, I just felt like my story can be told in different ways, and I want everybody to hear. I mean, I want my experiences to kind of go to everybody. And not be cut off from somebody who just listens to urban music or somebody who just listens to rap music or whatever the case. I mean, I'm not rapping on it. I'm not rapping.
Yeah, don't.
No.
If that's not your lane, don't you step in that, okay? Production-wise, who did you work with for the project?
I've been working with a lot of people in the Arrival squad. I've been working with Dub J on this Dynamite record as well, too. Just a few people. I reach out to a lot of my people in Atlanta as well, too. People, Exotic Music, who's over here working with TK Kravitz.
I saw you in the picture with TK. TK's pretty dope too. He's signed to 300 ENT.
Yeah.
I have a good friend over there, Ryan. Yeah. He works for 300. TK's dope.
Yeah, dope.
You and TK doing something together? That would be so juicy.
I did something. I'm working with. I worked with Robin yesterday, who's another artist with the TK Kravitz gang. But me and TK talked about some stuff the other day, so we're slowly working on that.
Oh my God, that would be so juicy. Do you have any features on the project?
It's actually just me. It's actually just me.
J. Cole in it. Oh my God.
I want people to really get to know me because I had like my past music has really been, I feel like, really bravado driven, and like I'm really getting the chance now to be really vulnerable and just like let people know who I am, like, and honestly, like a lot of the records, some of the records I've even cried recording. And just because I'm finally getting a chance to just let the guards down, let the BS down, and just let it out, man.
So I gotta ask you, right?
Yeah.
You need to tell me about one of them situations where you had to let the guard down. You shouldn't have told me that. You like walked me into it. You shouldn't have told me that. Yes, you did. So now you got to tell me about a song that you're working on where you absolutely had to let your guard down. What was the situation?
You know what? I'd say the first song I recorded, which was "Where Your Heart Is," off the album. It just talks about. I've been through a lot, from failed relationships to failed business to failed everything, and the song it was more therapeutic for me. What it talks about is just that you go through struggles, you go through everything, but just trust in the process, trust in where you are, that where you are is where your heart is, where you're meant to be, and yeah, that's it. So it was an acceptance. It was tough for me to kind of just to see that for a long time, but that song really helped me kind of get there.
Absolutely. Now, talking about trusting the process, what do you do when things are just not looking up, nothing's looking promising? Like, how do you hold on as an artist in such a tough industry and not give up?
I just don't think there's a choice. It's crazy. I don't think there's a choice. Like it's like people say, how do you hold on? There isn't a choice. Like you just don't. If you don't want it if you give up. So it's weird, right? I don't know.
No, it's not weird. It makes perfect sense.
Like, cause I'm looking around. I've been around, you know, like a TK Kravitz. I've been around the Row and everybody like Témi and everybody like that, and I just see the way they work, and it's like you don't get a moment of that self doubt.
And you know, Kevin Hart always says that the second that you take a break, somebody's willing to step up and take everything that you worked so hard for. So you got to keep that in the back of your mind too. Now, one thing that I love that you say is that, you know, music is like your outlet. Yeah. It's like a journey for you. So talk about the journey and your, you know, how you really feel about what does music do? Yeah, I'll rephrase it. What does music do for you personally?
It lets me tell my story, but it's okay. So what something else that I do as well too is I work with youth back in Toronto. I work at a youth center where I run an artist development program for the city of Toronto, and what I want my music to do as well as be therapy for me is Toronto's gotten really rough over the last little while, and I want like black males and just males in general to realize that you don't have to throw that bravado up. You don't have to, you know, it doesn't got to be all about nothing but you just being a man. And true strength sometimes comes in vulnerability. So, and I think that I want to be able to display that and show that with my music and let them be able to, like, you know, let their guards down and just open up.
Yeah. So how long have you been working with the youth?
I think the last 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so, talk about a touching story that you may have gone through while working with them. Because I know that has to be tough. Yeah. You know, because I do a little. I say I don't do enough. You know, because you can never really do enough. But my biggest thing is if I could just touch one of you guys, if I could just lead one of you guys in the right direction, then that's going to be enough for me. But there's so many, I know for the young girls, so many misguided young women. And I think that social media and us as personalities and on social media has a lot to do with it. So in artist development and everything that you do in Toronto, talk about a situation that really touched you dealing with the youth.
I have so many, man. Because I work at literally an underprivileged center, and I work with a lot of Aboriginal youth, there's Native Indian youth, so they have it really bad in Canada. But I'll talk about two quick ones. One was a youth by the name of Mukwa, really dope. He literally just came out of jail, and then it hurt me because I kind of felt like it was my fault. But he was rapping for the longest time, and he felt like he found his voice. He's not very talkative, but I felt like he found his voice in the music, and I really I love that. Unfortunately, he ended up getting in a little bit of trouble and ended up going back in. So that really hurts. That hurts me on that one. But a positive situation was a girl by the name of Amber. She did really well. She did a song where she basically just was forgiving her mom for everything that she went through in the past. Like, I think mom was a drug addict back when, so she was forgiving her mom in this song. And then she went outside and she sent the song to her mom over email. And she was just crying. And I was in the studio trying to hold my tears in. I'm like, let me just.
Music is huge. Music is it's a wonderful outlet. So take us on a journey, a writing session with you. So what goes into putting your masterpiece together?
Man, so either if it's me working solely, or if I'm working with Angel, my Angel / Charlie, my producer, or my label dude, what I'll do a lot of times is I'll get in the studio and I'll just hear a beat. And or production or guitar or somebody playing a rap, and I'll tell them I only want to hear it once, because I feel like that first initial feeling is where it's where your feelings are, where it's where you're really gonna get your true essence. So I'll play the beat or whatever the case. It's not engineer my own session, so it makes things a little easier for me. I'll play.
Go ahead. I'm all about that. But go ahead.
Exactly. You're doing this right here. Yeah. Right. So I just literally record melodies, straight melodies, the entire song, and then I'll go through the melodies and choose which ones speak to me the most, and then from there, I'll literally just think about what I'm going through, and then from there I just like fit the words into the melodies the best ways possible, so I can just deliver the message as best as possible.
Do you have a lot of people in the studio when you're recording?
A lot of times, no, it's just me.
It's just you?
Yeah.
You know, that's rare nowadays.
I know, right?
That's a good thing, though.
That's why I get to cry like a little girl. I'm joking.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Your emotions are coming out. That's a really, really good thing. So if you could work with anybody right now, if you had your choice, who would you work with and who would you write for? So if you could feature somebody on your song, who would that be? And if you could write a song for just anybody right now who would really capture the essence of what you're trying to convey.
Okay, so if I could write for anybody, and somebody actually gave me the opportunity when I went to an Atlantic writing session in Toronto, to write for Témi.
Ooh.
That would be like the dream right there.
Yeah.
That would be the dream.
And you know, I think Tank is so underrated.
Yeah.
I say that all the time.
Yeah.
I think that Tank is underrated.
Yeah.
That's because he's quiet. He's a creative.
Yeah.
He's a weirdo a little bit.
Yeah, he's funny as hell.
Yeah, he's funny. It's out of the way. But that's why,
Yeah.
because creatives are weird.
Mm-hmm.
I know that because I'm weird.
But who would I feature?
Yeah.
It's gonna be a little crazy.
Who?
Kanye West.
Okay.
Why?
Okay.
I know he's totally off the wall, especially as of lately, but he's so honest.
He's so honest.
He's so honest, and to a fault, he's honest, and I
Mm-hmm.
love that. From 808 and Heartbreaks, where he was talking about being rich but it not mattering because you know kids tell the joke all I'm sorry, Dad told a joke, all the kids laughed, but I couldn't hear it all the way in first class. You know what I mean? That right there is like he's really in touch with himself, and I feel like getting in the studio with him, at least I'm gonna get the real.
Yeah.
No matter how crazy it is, I'm gonna get the real.
I like Kanye actually. I like Kanye. Oh my God, I didn't expect you to say Kanye West. So you know, I gotta ask you, what are your thoughts on the recent interview he did with Jimmy Kimmel? Did you have a chance to check it out?
I did not. I've seen a lot of the crazy stuff he said about this choice of slaves and that stuff like that. I've seen a lot of stuff. I think he has a great.
I think we forget that Kanye has said on several occasions that he's bipolar.
Yeah.
And then also,
I think he experiences a different side of the world or a different sector of society that we don't, and he sees things that we don't see.
And you know what? I don't think that. I think that Kanye says what a lot of Americans want to say, but don't have enough courage to say.
Yes.
You know? I don't think that he's that far.
Yeah. And I see some of the interviews, and I see that because media's media, they gotta do what they gotta do, right? But I see some of the interviews, and they chop things up where he'll say something, but he won't let him finish his whole point.
Like Jimmy Kimmel.
Yeah. So and it's like it's cool. It's what it is. It's TV. It's right. It's entertainment. But at the end of the day, I feel like there's some real gems in what he's saying, and he might not be the best at expressing his points, but I think he's brilliant. I think he's a genius.
You and Kanye in the studio. That would be dope.
Hopefully.
That would be dope. We need to start like some sort of campaign or challenge or something like that. Hey, Kanye! Hey, Kanye, come on, we got to do this. But let everybody know how they can follow you, when your project's going to be released, how you hope the audience will feel after listening to your project.
Well, you can find me at TEMI_music. That's at Instagram, Twitter. I think I might be Googleable. Is it actually? I think I'm Googleable.
Am I Googleable?
Googleable. My project's set to be released, called Alternative Soul, set to be released under Rival Music, late October, fourth quarter. And I just hope that people get me. I just hope they get me and learn something, because I feel like music hasn't made people feel something in a long time. I want people just to feel something.
Absolutely.
I was told one thing by my vocal trainer, and she said to me, if you get off stage and somebody says, man, you sounded amazing, you didn't do your job. But if you get off stage and somebody said, man, you reminded me of that time when, man, you made me feel like, man, this time when, then you did your job.
God, it's all about how you make people feel.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So you want to sing something for us? You
Sure.
want to sing something? All right, let me,
All right. This is the Where Your Heart Is joint. Sometimes you want to go back where it started, but this part is where your heart is, yeah. Guess you gotta go through all the heartache to find the place where your heart is. Yeah.
Whoa! Chocolate, you better come through.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to let you introduce your track, Dynamite, to our audience.
Yes. This is Témi, and I'm over here at Dash Radio, and you are now listening to my new joint, Dynamite.
It's your number one destination for Southern hip-hop and R&B, Southside on Dash Radio. Good job!